Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign is Spawn of Azathoth. It was written by Doc Herber, and our game master is John Hook. This is episode 13. Our recap will be given by David Gassaway as his characters Myron Dexter's Ghost and Dr. Philip Baxter. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. David?
Thank you, Tom. It is not meet that a mortal should look upon the face of a god, even so vile a god as this one. It was thus that my comrades were compelled to trust Cordova and me to one another so that we could not do harm to ourselves or others. We were unconscious when Cuthbert had a vision of Philip Baxter in great dismay, and he descended the well inside the keep to find a vile dungeon in which the shade of Baxter was being tortured by two inhuman fiends. Turning back for help against these monsters, Cuthbert was set upon by Barnabas, finally revealed as the undead parasite we long expected. Cuthbert killed the thing in heated battle, but not before it pierced his ankle with its talons. Salad enjoyed him, and soon Long and Baxter's tormentors were dispatched. The mute and broken form, his skull open and brains partially consumed, was returned to our mad caravan. We longed to wake, to be free of this place, but the god Ibn Still had told Long that Baxter could be restored if merged with some sacrifice. I was insistent and carried the debate. There was no way out without Baxter's help, and so we returned to the stone arch, Long and I, and what was left of Baxter. The words were spoken, and I collapsed. Afterwards, Baxter's shade was nowhere to be seen. Long dragged Dexter's body back to the caravan. In the morning, I woke. Philip Baxter, restored to this unfamiliar body, shocked to realize that Myron Dexter is no more. We lost an elephant in escaping Clad. At Ulthar, Crannon's surgeons restored Cuthbert's life, but at the cost of his leg. At last we returned to the enchanted forest, and then made our way back to waking life. It was early on a Sunday morning when we woke in unfamiliar surroundings. And so, gentlemen, I'd like to raise a toast to a brave and true friend, the late Myron Key Dexter.
Very good. Well said. So you have awoken. The five of you have awoken in Myron Dexter's lounge. As you've kind of put yourselves together, Cornelius, your leg is whole, but it has no sensation, no feeling. You can't move. Was it the left leg?
Yeah, it's always.
You can't move the left foot. You have no sensation. You can't move your ankle. You can't move your toes. So, for all intents and purposes, from the knee down, that leg is dead. But if any doctor was to examine it, it seems fine. There's no medical reason why you shouldn't be able to move that ankle and move those toes, but you can't. You feel no sensations. They'll poke you with a pin and you don't react. So
So
Here's
very good prosthetic, basically.
Cornelius, here, take my cane to help
Oh.
yourself walk.
Thank you.
Did we already modify your dexterity?
Yeah, my dexterity and my move have both gone down.
Okay. Fantastic.
But I look dashing with this cane, though, now. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Salatin.
Remember, it makes a very good means to stop somebody on a motorcycle.
That's right.
Now, what about him? And I point over at Professor Philip Baxter.
Well, immediately for me, since I have this new assumed identity, I need to spend some time familiarizing myself with this home, figuring out what I can about Dexter's affairs. He was unmarried, was he not?
I believe that's correct. Also, he had a great deal of money.
It's evident from the house.
My God, you sound just like him.
Same
It'd
vocal
be-
apparatus.
Be very interesting to see, though, however, and I hand you a pen and a piece of paper, how you would sign your name. If it looks anything like Myron's handwriting.
I don't even know if Dexter was right or left-handed.
What were you?
Southpaw.
Hmm.
He seems like Dexter sort. No, it appears that muscle memory will suffice and signature won't be a problem. I don't really have to think about it.
You're inheriting everything that he owns. You've also got a job then. One that you're probably not going to be suitable for.
Well, unless I'm very much mistaken, he was doing that from duty, not necessity. We'll see. I'll have to figure out who his, do you know the name of his assistants? Well, anyway, I'll be spending a lot of time in his study trying to figure out just exactly what I've got. It's interesting. And I wonder whether it still did this to some extent, whether it chose him, and that's why I put him in charge of my inheritance without knowing it, having been in the Dreamlands. It's curious that his name was Dexter and mine is Baxter. I think I'm going to change Myron's middle name to Philip so that I won't be confused all the time. Philip Baxter and Philip Dexter are pretty similar.
What can you tell us? What do you remember?
Well, as you described finding my dream shadow with its brains consumed, and as I remember Silas and his assault, I do not remember very coherent things from my own life and nothing of Myron's. It's going to be a challenge, but I have pursuits in the future. Cuthbert?
Oh, you had come to Myron in a dream a bit ago and in agony, and he was the one that first led us to be greatly consumed.
That's why I wonder if it still allowed that visitation while I was dying, why it chose him as the key. You see, his middle name was Key. It seems like a joke that a vile god would play.
Baxter, do you remember your life before all of this? Your professorship, your education, your growing up?
I remember papers that I wrote, childhood things, but those memories are untrustworthy for all of us. I remember grieving my wife. I remember my children's faces and things about them.
You see, Dr. Long, there's a lesson to be learned here.
What lesson is there, Dr. Saladin? I've
This-
caused the death of my friend in a...
This body that we are seeing here is the body of Myron. That brain in that body is Myron's brain, and yet it remembers Philip's life. The mind is separate from the body.
Yeah, that's... You were a witness to it.
I was, and it
Dr.
was horrible.
Saladin.
And I curse that it happened. But I did try to warn you that it said sacrifice.
Well, we can't really change what has been done.
I can assure you that Myron's sacrifice, knowing or otherwise, is something that weighs upon me. I hope that you can view me with that resentment at his passing. He sacrificed himself to save me. That sacrifice is meaningless if I am to be despised.
Well, I guess it's easier to say when you didn't hear the screams at that lake, that damn lake.
We had no way of knowing. The word merge was in there as well.
The story's not over yet, though. Maybe if Philip can be restored into another body, perhaps Myron can too, by that same entity. If we bring it another sacrifice.
You can go back there yourself.
Yeah. Don't really care to, but it is what it is. We're stuck in this situation. It's not to be callous. It's a horrible situation, but we need to inform Dr. Baxter of everything that we suspect and things that are going on concerning Nemesis. And we need to get ourselves out to that Montana observatory.
That was one
I've
of our...
already been making arrangements with Cornelius to go out there, using my position as Miskatonic as an excuse.
Well, then perhaps we all need to retire to our homes and get ready and prepared for that. Do you know when we'll leave? Tomorrow? The next day?
I believe the tickets are for tomorrow, aren't they?
They are.
Well, despite the fact of having been dreaming, I'm quite fatigued.
But let's not take any of that serum that sent us to hell.
No, we'll keep the remaining ampules, I suppose, in case of an emergency. Rest assured also that Dexter's assets, whatever I ascertain them to be, will be available for these important researches. Saladin, do you have, now that you're awake, any greater sense of what can be done about this nemesis?
Let me think for a moment. The deity gave me the gift of knowledge of how to stop the thing, but said that it would come to me when the time was right. I find nothing in my brain at the moment.
And
It seems like a cop-out if you ask me.
Nemesis makes reference to a comet, does it not? Trying to stop a comet
Oh,
seems
yes.
I'm not
Doctor,
entirely sure what it was.
I wonder,
When I saw it through
Dr.
the
Long,
telescope.
if there's something in the sky at the same position.
That's what I'd have to see, have to check.
Does Miskatonic have an
Or-
observatory? Small one?
No,
Or closer?
no, it does not. It's
hear
a
it.
little too close to civilization.
There's nothing in Providence that's useful? Nothing at Brown?
Probably
I-
too bright.
the light pollution from the cities. It's harder to see the stars. This facility in Montana is remote, and according to their own records, they've already discovered some new object. They could already be tracking it.
It might have some of the latest technology in it too.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I
recently
suggest then we retire for the evening and get prepared.
built on a train ride.
You know how long we're going to be
Retire
there?
for the evening. It's the day. It's the morning. We have a whole day to ourselves.
We can pack, get ready for the trip.
Well, then I can't think of anything that I would like to do other than go home and get prepared. So I'll do that. But if there's something that you can suggest.
Any information about the research that you've done on this Montana matter, I'd welcome a direction to, but I'm also going to be occupied with figuring out how to live this false life that I've inherited, for lack of a better word.
About our Mr. Brain-eating man,
Silas.
Where is he?
In
He's
the
in an
madhouse.
Yep,
in the
asylum.
Yeah, but up north in an asylum.
Well, then just leave him there.
Zeb, do you need a ride to your place? Actually, it's not that far from here.
Cornelius, I'm worried. How am I meant to look at my wife and children properly?
It's been a very
seeing. I don't know. I fear I am losing my mind, Cornelius.
I think after our trip to Montana, we might need to get you a little time off.
Are you sure that you should be driving, Cornelius?
Oh,
Is the leg that you're accustomed to using, that foot, is that the one that's lost all feeling?
Oh, it's my left foot, not my right. Right foot.
I may need someone to drive me home. I do not feel I can drive.
I don't believe there are automatic transmissions. I think everything is a standard. So everything has a clutch. So everything is a 2-foot driving machine.
Yeah, that might take me a while to get used to. Until I do, if someone else could drive.
Well, I can have a go at it.
I can talk you through it, Zeno, but I just don't think I'm capable of driving at this moment in time.
I'll tell you what, let me call my brother, and he'll pick us up. Theo.
Yes.
I can drive and just take it easy, not go too fast. I mean, I'm very familiar with my car. Just go slow.
There's also Zeno. Book me in for a few extra appointments with you.
I think the question though is can you use a clutch and the gas pedal if you don't have the use of both legs? I don't know how a clutch even works. You push down on the clutch when you change gears?
Yeah, it's how you shift.
But don't you also have to have like your other foot on the brake? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, it's there. It would be like a prosthetic. I just need to get used to it though. So probably right away, I'll probably need a couple weeks getting used to this.
You can push the clutch button with your cane.
Yeah, I'll let someone else drive. I won't try this until I have a couple weeks of getting used to this.
I can look through this desk for petty cash too. We could probably get you all cabs.
I can just have Theo pick us up.
Well, I've moved my stuff here. I was staying in a hotel.
Yeah.
But all my things are here. If you don't mind a little bit of company, fill up.
You can help me find my way around.
So I call Theo and tell him to come and pick us up.
Oh, thanks, Zeno.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Zebedee, you should probably seriously consider, talking to anybody else about your problem.
No. Zeno has helped me with a lot of things. He will help me, I'm sure. I'm sure he will.
All right.
Dr. Long, have you made any what preparations have you made for this journey to Montana? Have you sent any communications ahead of time?
We called. We called them before. I called the observatory, told them that I was Dr. Long, astronomer with Miskatonic, and I had scheduled. They know that I'm expected, and that I'm bringing guests.
Tuesday Night Academy members?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So they are going to be expecting you around certain time, date period, nothing's set in stone.
I thought it might have been, I don't know if I wrote it down, but we accounted for leaving on Monday, and then the travel time
is going to be a little over 2 days worth. So
it was Thursday, I think, was when we were meant to go.
Wednesday in the AM, early morning Wednesday is when the train should be pulling into Helena.
Okay. But was it in Helena, or it's up in the mountains?
It's in the mountains, but Helena is as close as you'll get by train.
Okay, so we arrive in Helena on Wednesday, and then we get transportation there to whatever little town is closest to the observatory.
Garrison.
Spend the night, and then show up on Thursday. Seems like the plan.
Yep, Garrison, Montana, is the little town.
So I suppose today I will make arrangements with whatever hotel I can find in Garrison.
Okay.
To arrange us rooms ahead of time.
All right. So you place a call, and you have operator assistance to route the calls, and so you end up going through several switchboards across the country, and you get connected to the Garrison post office. You are connected with a Mr. Buffington, and he informs you that he chuckles at your inquiry about a hotel, and he says, well, sir, we don't really have a hotel per se. There's a couple of ranches that will let out rooms and let folks stay, but most of those are all full up right now at this time of year. There's a lot of ranch hands that are, the seasonal help is in. You may be better just moving on to your destination. You say you're here to visit those folks up at the observatory.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, well, I would hazard to say that it's probably going to be more convenient for you to bunk in with them, if I'm not being too presumptuous.
All right, well, I thank you for the information. All right, well, I hope that whoever those people are at those observatory, that they're on the up and up.
So you guys are aware, Dr. Long, you're aware from your communications, previous communications with the observatory, that there are 3 individuals currently manning staffed at the observatory. The project lead is a gentleman, Tuesday Night Academy member, Dmitry Pazlov, and Philip. You have a little bit of a memory of Dmitry, just vaguely enough that he was passionate about this observatory project. He was always trying to raise funds, raise capital for this, trying to get investors for this. But this was a project that he was very passionate about. And you don't recall exactly, but you seem to think that maybe he was escaping the October Revolution in Russia, but he's come to America to make his home. You remember befriending him, kind of bringing him into the Tuesday Night Academy, and once he got into the academy, he really started to find a new purpose for himself, and that's when this project for the Garrison Observatory took root.
It's really his pet project, isn't it?
It's really his pet project. He is, kind of, it's financed. There's some sort of unknown partner that has been like a silent partner who's been financing it, about 50% of it, and then the other 50% has been financed through the Tuesday Night Academy. So there's almost like a co-ownership like that.
Didn't he bring in another Russian expat about whom there was some?
Yes. So Dmitry, you remember Dmitry again. These are sketchy memories, but what you can recall is that Dmitry was a more seasoned, mature individual. If you think you remember him being in like his early 60s, and that his family, he probably came from a well-to-do family in Russia, and that there were some folks that worked with his family there, and one of those individuals also escaped Russia, and that's Vasily Kalyatka. So he's his partner, who has also become a junior member of the Tuesday Night Academy, and so the two of them really drove this project throughout the construction. They were part of the group that negotiated the purchasing of the land out there in Garrison, out in Montana. They just kind of lucked out that there was someone who was selling off some land, and they jumped on it and bought some of that land. And then after it was built, of course, Dmitry and Vasily are more, their expertise lies more in the observatory science, or the sciences of the observatory itself, the lens and everything, but the mechanics of the building still needed to be looked after. And so Dr. Long, you're aware that and other Tuesday Night Academy members, if they've looked at any of the books, are aware that the Academy has hired an engineer to be an on-site mechanic and engineer to take care of all of the everything that goes into keeping that observatory in an operational order, short of the lenses and the telescope itself. That's what Dmitry and
I
Vasily.
believe that's who I spoke to.
The engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that engineer is Edith Thomas, and so yeah.
That is who we'll be meeting with when we arrive.
Yes, if you want to establish that, you may. I don't know if that's been ironclad yet, but as far as the train is concerned, you'll be arriving in Helena in the early morning hours of Wednesday, May 11th.
When I say arrive, I mean when we arrive at the observatory.
Right.
Not from the train. That's quite a distance for them to travel just when we're going to travel up there anyway.
Exactly. So it's anybody's guess on when you get from Helena train station to Garrison or observatory proper.
We can rent a touring car there or something.
All right. So do you guys make any other preparations in before leaving Providence?
Oh, I'm just going to pack up a few days worth of clothes and such, figuring no more than 4 or 5 days.
Good.
My fortune-telling cards, my tarot cards.
Telling the housekeeper to shut down the house until my return. Probably be firing her via correspondence since she will know too much about Myron's daily habits, and calling my office at the bank to inform them that I'm taking a sudden leave of absence to travel, which will help with my resignation. Yes, and given that I find Myron's body with its war injuries uncomfortably weakened compared to what I last was, I think if he doesn't have something like a .38 revolver in his home, I'll be purchasing something to travel with. I feel a little frail.
That is
which is better than dead.
Yes, that's completely doable. You can do that and add that to your character sheet. Zebedee, any particular preparations?
He'll do the same as Cornelius. Really, he'll pack some stuff for a few nights, and then he will have a conversation where he's not looking at his children. He'll be telling them that he's going away for a little while, and same with his wife. But he's not going to look at them. He's going to try find some glasses to cover.
Oh yes, yes. You need your glasses,
which I don't have yet. I am getting some, but I don't have them yet.
Good. So we'll say that that Zebedee is able to procure some very dark glasses, and
make him look like a blind person.
Yeah, and in fact, these glasses have blinders on the sides, so shades on the sides as well. Okay. So what is your current spot hidden?
My current is 45.
45.
Yeah.
So let me make sure I do my math right here. So let's drop your spot hidden down to 40.
Okay.
And then cascade the half and fifth down as well, if you would.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
I'm going to bring my spare cane.
Your spare cane. You'll have 2 canes?
Oh, sure. Got a whole
dual wielding canes.
Dual wielding canes. All right. Okay. Anybody else with any special preparations?
After I make those calls, I'm just gonna kind of shadow Philip throughout the house, probably drinking copious amounts from Myron's stash, trying to come to terms with what I've done.
It was a hard thing. It's and you have survivor's remorse for sure from this. All right. So with preparation, and for $35 a piece, and that includes the sleeper cars, and there's like a meal plan and everything, so everything's included on that. So it'll be almost 2 days of travel, a little over, or not quite, because you're leaving a little later than what you're going to be arriving in on Wednesday. And the trip is uneventful. You change trains in Chicago, and just keep on heading west, and come 7 a.m. on Wednesday, May 11th, the train pulls into Helena, Montana.
Oh, smell that fresh air. It's disgusting.
It's lovely, beautiful, beautiful country here.
It's not enough bricks and walls. Oh, we're in Montana now.
Well, I suppose.
For someone who pictures themselves as such a spiritual savant, I thought that getting away from the city would please you.
Oh,
More
I
in
do
touch
best
with the energies of the
around
universe
people.
or whatever.
It's people that I'm connected with.
Well, is there a place we can rent a car, maybe?
There is in Helena, yes, and so there is a Ford sedan. You guys are able to rent.
Perfect. Excellent. Let me go get my driver's license here.
And you guys are given directions on where to go. So let me pull something up here.
Long, do you know what sort of provisions they have, either for food or accommodation at the observatory as it was planned? I wonder if we need to visit Garrison at all, or conversely, whether we should set up some provisions here to take with us.
Well, my thinking, Philip, the reason why I was looking for lodging in Garrison was, given the strangeness of the situation, especially after the actions that's Silas engaged in. I'm not entirely sure about anybody else's involvement, so was a little wary with staying with them directly. So from that standpoint, if we have to stay with them, I don't mind us bringing our own provisions, even if we just have them in the car.
Yes.
Something that's salted, something that will last.
Yeah, like some jerky and.
So the map here, you guys, the passenger train does come through Helena. The train routes that you see here, these are freight trains. These are freight routes, so you guys are not going to be able to use those. But you have pulled into Helena. And you are heading for Garrison.
Excellent.
That's less than 50 miles as the crow flies, but probably in mountain roads, a good 50 miles.
Yeah.
And a wood-sided Ford truck is going to take 2.5 hours, depending on how heavily it's laden.
It's going to be very uncomfortable.
That won't be that long, though.
It'll be fine. It'll be a fine journey.
Most of it won't even be a paved road. There'll
Oh,
be
we-
ruts and bouncing.
Well, we
3
can talk
hours.
about what the road will be like, or we can drive on it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Plus,
Back up.
me and Cornelius have had rougher journeys before, so.
Oh, yeah. The trenches aren't that comfortable.
No, they are not.
So the local grocery store, pack up some food that can last a while, and maybe be on our way.
Tally ho.
Tally ho. All right. So you guys make the drive, and it does take a couple of hours through slow, narrow lanes, switchbacks and cutbacks as you guys are winding your way up into higher elevations. And you finally see a small sign for welcoming you to Garrison, Montana. And there's just a lot of small private homes that they look really like shacks, but on the main strip, on the main road that just basically goes breezing straight through Garrison, there is a building there, a large building, large-ish, that states that it's a mercantile and post office.
We can certainly mention to the post office that we're headed up to the observatory and ask if they're having any deliveries waiting, which will give us a sense of the activity.
You can ask if there's a place to stay. Do you have a place to stay for us, Frederick?
Well, I hope to God that the observatory does, because I called ahead, and they don't have anywhere to stay. It's all their places are currently being rented out to ranch hands, or so I was told.
So we're going on the long shot that the observatory will have a place for us.
Well,
We built the
they must be
observatory
seeing
after all.
That's
It's a
quite-
Tuesday night club observatory.
And we're members of it, so
Well, they might let
it's
you, but
the organization's based out east, so I'm sure there'd be somewhere for people, travelers to stay.
Remember, it's the
Yes.
observatory. People sleep during the day.
Yes.
There's no point in using the observatory at night. I mean, in the daytime.
Oh, look at
Sometime
you.
at night.
You're right on your way to becoming an astronomer yourself.
All the more reason to
I
have
am
dormitories, of course, if it's out of the way.
Plus, me
People are up at night.
and Zeno aren't members of your fancy club.
Well, neither is, well,
Myron
Well-
Dexter is, and Philip Baxter was. So I'm really two members. Frederick,
no, I didn't know Myron was.
in good standing.
Well, let's find out. Better that we find out early than we find out late.
Yes.
worst comes to worst, we can always drive back, and it's
Or
not-
we could sleep out under the stars, and
Yes.
hopefully a bear won't eat us.
Me and Zeno could cuddle up in the wilderness.
So
While we're here, I wonder if
That's
somebody will sell us
presumptuous.
a tent.
maybe 2 might be good.
Yes, probably two. I don't think
Yeah.
I could.
So are there tents, sleeping bags, and such?
you guys pull into the mercantile.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, there's pretty much anything that you could, within reason, think about. This building really kind of serves almost three purposes. It's part grocery store, it's part hardware store, and it's a post office, part post office. And the entire building is owned and run by Hank Buffington.
I'll go inside, and if I see him, I'll introduce myself.
Oh yeah, Hank Buffington.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Buffington, I presume.
And he's got a cowboy hat on. He's pretty tall, and he says, "Well, welcome to Garrison."
I'm Dr. Long. We spoke over the phone a couple of days ago.
Yes. Pleased to make your acquaintance. And he sticks out this giant ham hock of a hand. It envelops yours as he grips it and shakes.
He says, just stopping by before we head up to the observatory. Some of my friends here were curious about camping out in the mountains while we're there. Do you have anything for that?
Absolutely. And you're here right on time. I believe, hold on. Edith, Miss Thomas is here picking up some supplies, in fact. And a young woman approaches.
Yes, what is it?
This is Dr. Long. He's from that he's here for that fancy observatory you work at.
Oh, we spoke on the phone.
Yes. Dr. Long, Miskatonic University and Tuesday Night Academy member. Pleased to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
These are my associates, Cornelius Cuthbert, Myron Dexter, Zeno Saladin, and Zebedee Cordova.
Philip Baxter, actually. Pleasure to meet you.
All of you. Yes, nice to meet all of you.
Very nice to meet you.
We were looking at some tents and sleeping bags. If there weren't any accommodations, we were hoping. Would you know of accommodations up in the vicinity of the observatory?
The observatory itself has some accommodations. I'm not sure how many are available at this time, but for sure it does have accommodations.
Yes. So, Edith, you're aware that there is a separate home, a separate building, where you and Dmitri and Vasily each have a bedroom. There's one other room that Dmitri uses as an office, and then there's just a common room, which is a combination kitchenette and living room. There's stables up there. There's a shed. There's plenty of open grass area out there that somebody could pitch a tent, or folks could sleep in chairs in the living room, or bundle up, or bunk up and pair up in some of the different rooms and stuff. But as it stands right now, it's plenty comfortable for you and Dmitri and Vasily, but with 5 others coming to stay as house guests, it'll get a little cramped, but tents may not be a bad idea.
Well, sleeping bags, we could just sleep on the floor.
There's that too.
How many are in the stables, and how much room is there available? Even with a tent, and in May at this elevation, I'm sure the nights are rather uncomfortable.
And wet, possibly.
We could set up the tents in the stables.
If the stables aren't occupied entirely by, what sort of animals would you have?
There's just a single mule right now.
So there's probably room and ample room in hay. Tents, sleeping bags. I would think that, do we know their further plans for accommodations for visiting scholars?
Not at this time. Not that you're aware of.
I'm curious. Ms. Thomas, how long have you been established at the facility?
Not very long. In fact, I'm just temporary work at the moment, hoping to gain longer form employment, but so no, not very long.
But it's been comfortable for you so far?
Oh yes, it's very accommodating. It's a lovely observatory.
Well, if we can help you gather what things you're getting, we'll certainly
yes,
help
thank
you
you.
carry those.
Thank you very much.
I think that I'll get a nice sleeping bag. We'll find a place on the floor somewhere.
Okay, that is totally doable.
Do you know-
Any other camping equipment or whatnot you guys want to get?
Well, I assume we could use a few more kerosene lanterns than are present if some of us will be sleeping more or less rough.
And some extra food, because obviously we're going to be imposing.
Is there there's not a stove in the stable, I assume, a wood stove? Yeah, we might want to.
You can come inside to eat.
Yeah, but building a fire for in the evening outside the stable might help us make the transition. How cold is it freezing still at night here?
In the mountains? Probably.
No.
I'll look through the store and see if there's some wine at all. I'd love to pick up like a couple bottles of nice wine as sort of thank you, for inconveniencing them.
Cornelius, you can give me a luck roll.
Excellent.
They don't have a hotel. Well, they have one.
This is the prohibition,
11.
guys.
Really
11.
good.
Oh wow.
Find some really nice.
Yeah,
Is-
there's nothing out, but when you mention what you're interested in, Hank takes a moment to kind of assess, and then he silently nods to himself and he says, "Yeah, go ahead and follow me." And he takes you back to his office, and there he pulls out and he says, "I do have a couple bottles of whiskey, and I do have this red wine."
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I'll one bottle of the whiskey and the red wine, if that would be
All right. He will sell those to you.
Thank you.
It's a pity, given that we're being hosted, as it were, by Russians, that it's not vodka, I would think.
Well, you can only run so much stuff down from Canada.
He might have a whole supply of vodka here.
Yeah, we'll just keep this on the down low. I'm not a federal agent, really.
But I am.
Uh-oh. The untouchables.
Ms. Thomas, have you checked the post office area for anything for the observatory?
Oh no, I haven't made my way there yet.
Do you ever receive anything except from us?
No.
Yeah, can't help to look. And that's Mr. Buffington too, I assume, is the postmaster.
He runs the whole shebang here.
And you must be worn out all day, Mr. Buffington. Keeping on top of all of this, you must be very busy around these parts.
Yeah, stay busy enough, that's for sure. Idle hands, you know what they say.
Yes, indeed. Don't you get any help at all? Any of the local teams or anything? Do any odd jobs for you?
Oh, my kids used to work here and help out, but they had no desire to stay in Garrison. The town's quiet enough. I can handle it pretty much. It doesn't seem to take too much out of me.
What's the town like? I've never been here before, so you probably have the most expertise in what the town's like.
what's to say? It's a lot of ranches, a lot of lumber industry out here. Just a lot of good, hardworking, God-fearing people.
Well, I know Miss Thomas is here, but what do you think of the observatory here? Observatory.
Well, I'll tell you, the folks were a little skeptic about these Russians coming in here. We thought they might have been spies or something, but they soon seemed to settle in pretty well, and yeah, folks are they find that they're pretty friendly, and obviously yourself included, Miss Thomas.
It's good to know. It's good to know that most of you have accepted the observatory, and that's good because some bigger constructions tend to annoy some people. So
No, the when they were building that observatory, yeah, there was a lot of vehicles coming through here. That was probably the most excitement we'd seen in these parts for quite some time. But yeah, it's starting to settle down. Heck, the only thing we see, the only excitement around here nowadays is the occasional ghost story.
Ghost story.
Oh, you talk to enough folks, and they'll tell you that they've seen or heard about and seen old Father Joseph, or Chief Joseph. It's old Chief Joseph's ghost walking these hills. It's just a crazy old tale.
Zeno, are you hearing this?
There are ghost stories everywhere.
Hey, who is this? I like local legends. Who is this Joseph man or whatever?
Oh, the Indian tribes, the local natives, when they were being driven out, when the white man was coming in. Some say that Chief Joseph was leading his people north, and that he would stay behind to help guide those who were falling behind. But there was as the tale has it, there was an unfortunate battle, and now his ghost walks these hills, still trying to guide those wayward souls that are still trying to make their way north. But
using my history knowledge, would I know anything about that?
I was just going to say, it sounds a little familiar. Chief Joseph, is this the Nez Perce tribe? The Nez Perce?
Yes.
Yeah. They were told that they could all emigrate north, and then ultimately I think they all got slaughtered.
So yeah, people say that they see Chief Joseph's ghost walking around in the woods. Have you seen or heard of him, Missy Thomas?
No, for goodness sake, I don't buy into children's stories told around a campfire.
Well, and that's usually what they're for. They're to keep children from wandering off into the woods.
I agree with you, Miss Thomas, because when a lot of, as I've seen in my years of teaching anyway, a lot of folk tales with dead native chiefs or whatever tends to just be over exaggerations of past monstrosities caused by us rather than our own guilt, should I say.
They do make for great stories, great books.
Seems most likely that you'd find all kinds of stories made up by people to keep children from going off into the woods.
Yes.
As you guys are in the mercantile and having this conversation, you hear the sound of like an electronic squelch, and so it kind of has that
Like a radio.
like a radio, and then finally the kind of the interference cuts through, and you hear a tinny voice calling out and saying, Garrison Mercantile, come in. And so then Hank says, oh, excuse me for a moment, and he goes over there and he picks up this hand mic and keys it and says, Garrison Mercantile. And Edith, you recognize, even distorted as it is, you recognize Dmitri or Vasily's voice as he says, just wanted to check and see if Edith is still there and ask her to, we wanted to add on a 2 pounds of bacon to the list. We forgot to add that before she left. As you're here picking up some supplies
sure.
and stuff.
Hank, would you tell him that the visitors I told him about have arrived?
Oh, certainly, miss. And so Hank keys the mic and he tells Vasily that you guys are here. Oh, well, make it 3 pounds of bacon then.
We'll bring extra supplies, Miss Thomas.
Thank you.
Is it Miss Thomas or Mrs. Thomas?
Miss.
Very good.
And then Hank says, okay, mercantile out, and the mic, the radio squelches again, and then he puts the hand mic away.
So, Miss Thomas, how did you get here? Do you have a car, a vehicle?
She does. She has a Dodge truck, a 4-wheel drive truck.
And we came up here in a car too, as well, right?
You came up here in a Ford sedan.
Oh, good. Well, if you don't mind, perhaps we can split our party up a bit.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I'm sure you were all quite cramped in your vehicle, all of you together.
So I've been riding in the back of that truck for 2.5 hours. My ass is killing me. I wouldn't say that. My behind is killing me.
Though while you do bring that up about the vehicle, Hank, you kind of see that his eyebrow raises, and he says, "You came up here and what?"
That.
And he looks out the window and he sees your car and he chuckles. He says, "Oh, you're not going to make it to the observatory in that. The roads are not as nicely paved as they are here, and these roads are barely qualified as paved. It's just ruts."
Well, far be it from me to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Tell?
Who did
I
you
said
tell?
it was going to be very bad roads once we get up here.
Hank says, "Well, I have a couple of horses. I also have a stable out back. I've got a couple of horses I could lease out to you. If you're interested in that, if anyone can ride."
Well, if I knew the first thing about riding a horse, that would be interesting. But
yes, I'm afraid I do not know. Never ridden a horse.
Of course, you could just pile into the pickup, into the back end of the pickup truck.
How long of a drive is it to the observatory?
It's probably about an hour and a half.
Ah.
I'll go gently over the potholes.
There'll be room
Perhaps
for
we
all of
should-
us and the groceries.
We might possibly want to lay in some more blankets and other cushioning materials. It's probably quite chill in the back of a moving vehicle, even when moving slowly.
Who got to ride up in the front the last time?
I'll be in the back. I'm fine with that either way.
Well, I'll ride up front.
For you.
There's the car. The car can't go like halfway, can it? Or does it get pretty bad immediately out of here?
It'll get stranded.
Yeah, it won't take long before for the wheels won't have any traction.
Got it. I was just wondering, like, if we could go halfway, then park the car, and then go from there. Okay. All right. So yeah, we all need to be in the truck.
It is what it is.
Yeah. No worries. I'm flexible. It's not much different than the Troop Lorries just a few years back. Zeb and I were in.
Yes. We'll be
All right.
We'll be fine. If the war prepared us for one thing, it was things like this.
Beats marching.
Indeed.
Right. Tally ho.
I'll let you guys take a look at this. This kind of gives you an idea of what you're driving up into. So you're heading up into even more steep mountain and forested areas as you're heading north out of Garrison. And Miss Thomas, the on the map here, the number 1 labeled simply as ranch, that is the ranch owned by Sylvia England. And the number 2 is the observatory. So you have to drive past the ranch property, although you don't actually see the house per se. Right. You just realize now I'm in the zone of that ranch. And then you turn off. There's a rutted road, just 2 ruts, and one peels off to the right, and that heads up to the observatory, and then one peels off to the left once you get past the ranch, and that one heads up to the fire tower that you can see it clearly as you're coming up into this area, because the fire tower is on, it's probably 4 stories tall on scaffolding, but there you are. So you're driving up.
Right. And like conversationally to Dr. Long, who's in the vehicle with me, as we pass the ranch, I'll just gesture and be like, "It's my mother's ranch."
Oh, so you've just lived in this area your whole life?
Well, no, my mother grew up here and then returned here once she and my father divorced. I grew up in Houston.
Oh, Houston. Is that where you went to school?
No, I went to MIT.
MIT. And now you're back.
And now here
right
I
up
am.
back. You're here in the middle of nowhere at an observatory, which there are worse places to be. I'm quite fond of observatories myself.
Me too.
Have any interest in the astronomy side of what's going on, or just the mechanics?
I came here for the mechanics. That was really my interest, and I had no concern for astronomy or the stars. I all thought it was a little like I appreciate the science of it, but I'm more down to earth, I suppose. But as I've worked here over the last couple of months, I've really grown to appreciate it. It's beautiful, especially at night. You can see all the stars, and it's a lovely view.
Well, where else are you going to get to work in a building that itself has a huge mechanism that allows it to rotate and keep mechanical time with the stars? I mean, it's like living in a gigantic clock.
Exactly.
Just be mindful of that Xeno fellow. He might try to peddle you something. Offer to read your horoscope, maybe.
I don't think she has to peddle the building.
He did seem like he had an odd manner about him.
I'm sitting right here.
You're sitting in the back.
No, I wanted to where the three of us are sitting in front. I'm sitting right next
That's why
to
we're
him.
all silent.
Frederick always talks about me right in front of me.
Yeah. Frederick does not care.
Frederick is a very good astronomer.
And you, Dr. Saladin, are you an astronomer as well?
Doctor is an interesting title.
I am more well-rounded
Oh,
in my knowledge of.
He used to
Esoteric
work at
things.
Miskatonic until they let him go.
They didn't quite understand my theories.
theories?
One must mix science and philosophy sometimes, and they didn't care for that too much. Also, I touched a little bit too much on some of the subjects they considered forbidden. I don't believe there should be forbidden subjects. We'll talk. We'll talk sometime.
That sounds excellent.
Cuthbert. Baxter?
Zeb.
Dexter. No, I must. I think it was the time, and I must be imagining things. But I swear I saw something in the woods over there.
But what, like what? Like a deer or a bear?
A large shadow. It was. No. It must be the new glasses I've got and the stress of everything. And
It was nothing like anything we saw in Cled, was it? I trust.
I hope not, but I think it might just be my mind playing tricks.
I'll look in the direction and scan in that area as best I can.
If you can tell us where to look.
I point in the direction of where I thought I saw the shadow.
Yeah, so this area, because it is there's a lot of ranch land here, the woods aren't quite as thick right here. So you do have some pretty good visibility, at least almost 100 yards of visibility before the tree line starts. Really thick is about 100 yards away. And Zebedee is pointing in a certain direction, but all you guys see is just trees.
As I said, I think my mind's playing tricks on me. I need to lie down, I think.
We were attacked by a tree, so.
Yeah,
You can't hear us, Mr. Front Guy.
Who are you talking to? You see what I mean, Edith? He's got a couple of screws.
I have a cute earring.
He can speak. He speaks to me in my mind. It's how he cures me.
Maybe the little window in the back is slow.
No.
I mean, you're still adjusting to those very specific glasses. Perhaps, when there's in the gap between the two lenses. But we'll keep an eye out. Even the elk here, I think, are vast. Aren't there elk here?
Oh yes.
And
moose.
Good
and
size
bear.
animals. Yeah.
I think Long might be right, and I should, as much as Zeno does help me, I think when we're back in Providence, I may need to go see someone more qualified. And
yeah. We'll get you some help. We'll get you a good long rest, Zeb. We need you at 100%. You're just tired, and you've gone through a lot.
The difficulty, of course, I think generally presume to agree with Dr. Long, but the fact is that you have had experiences recently that any rational psychiatrist would consider a part of a disease, but we know to be, in fact, lived experience, which makes it for a very peculiar therapeutic circumstance.
Yeah,
you might be better off speaking to a shaman, but one you don't already know.
No, that's well. I have Zeno. I have weekly appointments with him. I'm thinking of doubling them up, but
Right. I'm thinking of a shamanistic second opinion, if you will.
My
yes,
good.
I know.
How much is Dr. Saladin charging you for these weekly?
Oh, a fair amount. You don't need to. We don't need to go into that, Cornelius.
Just
You-
be careful.
You know I spend my money well. You know I'm cautious.
Remember, you've got a family to support.
Yes, and it I support them. I'm gonna attempt to try and rest after that. Like, I know it's gonna be a bumpy ride, but Zebedee's just worn out and confused, frustrated.
Eventually, you guys start to see this white domed building just over the treetops, and then as Edith's truck starts to pull around, you guys come into the property of the observatory proper. And just give you a quick look here at what you kind of see. House is kind of an exaggeration. It's more of a glorified shack. There's a stable not too far away, a generator. Part of the supplies that Edith just brought is several more 5-gallon cans of fuel for the generator. And so you've got several outbuildings, and the observatory itself. Not pictured is the outhouse, but that's not necessary. So no indoor plumbing in any of the buildings here.
Is there a pump well? Where does or do we?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Pump well inside the kitchenette of the house.
Oh, okay.
That observatory looks incredible. I cannot wait to go inside.
Yeah, it does look really, really nice. The it is about midday, and so being Wednesday, the observatory crew is up because they typically also work more on the weekend. So they typically work like Thursday through Sunday, and so their sleeping patterns fluctuate. So they can kind of do any kind of supply runs and business things Monday through Wednesday, and then work Thursday through Sunday in the evenings.
Where are we in the lunar cycle? Are we approaching a new moon?
You know what? I don't know. If you would like it to be a new moon, it can be.
Darker is better. Full moons get in the way.
Yep. So it is going to be a new moon.
Wonderful.
Long. Now, I assume we're all like, we're unloading stuff and carrying it to the supply shed and the house and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to approach Long and I must admit, I'm not much, I don't have much of a head for numbers. This place seems primitive except for the observatory itself. Given what we know about what the club has spent on this place, does it look up and up?
I mean, just the lenses for the telescope are exorbitant.
Yeah, it's not an inexpensive enterprise to set up from scratch, certainly.
So
I'm
I'm
sure
sure
get a sense of
these outbuildings. I mean, I'm surprised they had anything left over to build these. They may not have. They may have built it with just whatever they could scrounge off the ranches.
And also, some of the financing came from unknown sources. We're not really
That's true.
sure
We don't have a full
how much
scope
money
of,
has been dumped into this.
but at least from the Tuesday Night Academy's standpoint, from what they invested in the property, I'm just a little surprised that there are any other buildings here.
Well, it seems that you couldn't build the observatory without having some support structures. So, but I see, it seems like value for money. Fair enough. Do you have a sense of what direction from our terraquatic sphere you would look to see the object that you saw while in Ulthar?
Yes. Yep, said the stars, I mean, the stars in the Dreamlands, to a certain extent, are the same as the stars here. So there is a spot to look. I'm very curious that the telescope's already pointed in that direction, but we'll have to wait, find out.
Miss Thomas, have you heard what the other two people here, what they've been saying about what they're looking at? Any chatter you picked up from them so far?
They seem to be quite excited about something.
Yeah, but that's probably all astronomers looking at the stars. They're like, "Oh my
Well,
God,
of
look at
course.
that star!"
What do you think we do all day?
You're so
Or
easily
all night?
pleased by the spirits of the sky dancing in their crystal spheres.
It just seemed interesting that some new discoveries were found, and then mixed with our experiences from that god awful place. Speaking of the Nemesis, I wonder if there's
Again, we can.
I
keep
looked
mentioning
myself.
That is what we want to look for.
I looked myself when we were there, but I don't recall seeing much.
I-
Were they near the Pleiades? Camelopardalis?
the issue is it moved?
not just in a straight line, which is disturbing.
So if they've been, I hope they've been, if they are looking at what we think they are, they should be tracking it. Perhaps they...
I'm sure we're confusing Miss Thomas.
I'd love to know more about what you're talking about. Sounds very interesting, though.
We had a shared fantasy.
A shared fantasy?
It's difficult to explain. It was drug induced.
Very well.
Yes, we all take drugs.
This is
I
one of
see.
those explanations where you want to just hand him a shovel to keep digging his own hole deeper.
I think it would be much deeper if I told her what we really thought. It's the 1920s. People experiment with drugs.
There you go. That's right.
So we didn't take any drugs.
Well, it was a lie. It was a lie to keep her from asking more questions.
As you guys continue to unload the truck, out from the house come two gentlemen. One is older, in about his 60s. He has almost a regal air about him, and then there's another young man who's in his 30s, who seems very fit and spry, and is coming out to help unload as well. He'll like grab the cans of fuel, because they're going to be pretty heavy, but he grabs one in each hand, and it's like, yeah, I can take these to the generator shed.
Gentlemen, it's good to meet you. I'm Dr. Long of Miskatonic University.
We met Dimitri at the funeral.
No, Dimitri was not there.
Dimitri wasn't at the funeral? Oh, okay.
Nope.
Nope. And,
Already out
so,
west. But some of
there's
the Tuesday Nighters have met them. I have to remember not to call them by their first names because while Philip might have, Myron would not have. So.
True. So there's a round of introductions, and you meet Dmitri and Vasily, and they greet you warmly.
We hear that you're doing excellent work out here.
Well, we try. It is very difficult work, but we give it our absolute best. The old college try, you say? Yes.
I'm quite familiar with the old college try.
It's all
Yes,
he's familiar with.
Would you like a tour? I would love to.
I would love
show
a
you.
tour.
Thank you.
Please.
Talk of the academy.
Yes. Just leave your things, Vasily, please, if you would. He says, "Yes, Dmitri, I will take care of it." And so Dmitri starts heading towards the observatory. Please, my friends, come. So, does anybody follow Dmitri, or
Oh,
does
yeah.
anybody
I
wish to do something else?
We want a tour.
I'm
Fine.
definitely, going to take my satchel from my larger bag before Vasily puts our things away
Okay.
for us.
Yeah,
I've got some of Myron's diaries that I've been reading to try to figure out anything. One of us has the Book of Ibon. I'm certainly keeping my revolver, etc. Strange territory.
Okay.
Yeah. Similarly, keep my larger metallic items to myself.
And I'm glad you brought that up. We'll circle back and do a little bit of housekeeping as far as the Book of Ibon is concerned here before we close today's episode. Dmitri says, Edith, please come. You will need to explain some of the mechanics of the observatory itself. It is not to my realm of knowledge. I think only in terms of the telescope, if you will. But please, my friends, let me show you my pride and joy. And he leads you up to the observatory, and it's a very nice, very not enormous, but it's a very handsome building. Obviously, multiple stories. There's even a cellar area dug into the the footings are very strong. This is while not a very large building, it's a very well built and sturdy building. And inside, you guys get a quick tour of the different mechanical areas, and the mechanics are manual. So through a complex series of cogwheels and pulleys, one person can operate a crank that will rotate the dome and open the doors, with very minimal effort. It doesn't take too much effort to do that. But this is something that Edith helps keep in operating order. There is a radio station in the observatory. The one of the more complex elements that both Edith and Dmitri maintain is the telescope is engineered to take photographs. There's also a dark room in the basement of in the cellar area of the observatory. And so, there's like a small library with observatory and different astronomy books. library, and then of course you get into the telescope room itself. And the telescope is 25 feet long, and it has multiple lenses and mirrors, and Dimitri talks about the different refraction rates, and there's a lens grinding room nearby where he and Vasile will try and polish and grind lenses for new and different depths of focus and tracking. And he's quite pleased with his facility, and it shows in the way that he beams when he's talking about it.
I'd be fascinated to see some of the photographs you've taken so far with this equipment.
Oh, yes, we're still collecting data from those photographs, but very interesting indeed. There's the heavens are very exciting at this time of year. Very exciting indeed.
Well, the equipment you have here is beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, we are quite proud. It's not the largest, but it works very, very well for us.
Very.
Everyone, if you want, you may do a spot hidden.
Is that including myself, John?
You may.
I passed by 3.
I got 2.
Ooh, my.
My 38 is a pass. Nothing fancy, but it works.
Regular also, no fancy 2.
No fancy 2. So you do find some of the photographs on a table nearby, and it seems that the observatory has been photographing a comet.
Is this a new comet?
Does this comet look familiar to me at all?
It does look familiar to you, Dr. Long.
I'd say this is quite the discovery you have on your hands.
Oh, yes, we're a little perplexed by that. It's possible that we may have bad data, or that the lens may have had a flaw in it. Our data seems to contradict itself. It's very unusual. We're still analyzing.
Now, how long have you been photographing this object?
For a little while now, several weeks, but it has the speeds are inconsistent. When we measure it, our data, it's very unusual. It almost seems as if it's turning, but it's hard to say. And also, it's unusual. If you see here on the photograph, he starts pointing into 2 or 3 different little specks, and he says this comet also has little bits and pieces that are almost like leading chunks of debris. We have never observed a comet like this before that had other smaller bits ahead of it. Usually something like that might be more of a trailing, but it's very unusual. But yes, as I said, if the data is to be observed and as factual, it's almost as if this is as if it's making course corrections and changing direction. But that's absurd. That's completely absurd.
I've observed. I may have observed the same object quite recently with a telescope back east. I don't have any of the data I collected then with me, but I would love to take a look through your instruments. Because this object is it is definitely perplexing. A little little bit of unease, I guess, with it. The strangeness of it, like on the
Yes,
verge of something new.
it perplexes me, and it tasks me. I've actually, he picks up the picture, he turns over the picture, and he says, "It's my nemesis, if you will." And on the back of it, he's written the word nemesis with a question mark on it. He says, "Ugh, it thwarts me," and then he throws the picture back
Well, I
down.
think that's an apt name for it, nemesis.
Yes, I would greatly appreciate any input that you may have on it. Help make sense of some of this data.
Well, that will
It's
take
very
some
unusual.
that will take some time, but that is why I came. So
Yeah, I greatly appreciate that. And plus, it's very these bits and pieces that are surrounding it and almost leading it along. It's very unusual. In fact, there was a meteor shower not long ago, but I don't believe anything fell locally. But it's very, I believe some of those the meteor shower may be connected to this as well. It's very unusual.
Oh, really? It's that close.
Some of the leading chunks, yes.
I believe I have read that it is in the nature of comets, is it not, to bring other debris
Yes,
toward the surface?
Yes, usually trailing behind, but this has more leading debris than what has been previously observed in other comets. It's which is what gives that characteristic tail, comet tail. Yet this, while it still has a comet tail, it also has some leading debris. It seems unusual.
Well,
Is there any danger?
None. Everything will be. There's no danger. Of course not.
Could any of that cloud of attendant material have landed on the surface, or was it all burnt up as is usual in the atmospheres?
Well, there are objects of certain sizes can make it to the surface. It's not all that uncommon, so it's possible. Like how recent was this meteor shower?
Quite recent, but I'm sure none of it fell to Earth. Anyone who is present may make a psychology roll.
Ooh,
A 33 is not good enough.
half. I mean, hard.
Stream. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a smaller number, but no, it's 3 zeros. So it's not good. Not good on for me.
Do not attack the Russians, Zeb.
I'm too preoccupied.
And Miss Thomas, how was your observation?
I failed.
So Dr. Saladin, you're convinced that that while Dmitri may not be intentionally lying, he certainly doesn't completely believe in his own statement of that none of the debris fell to Earth.
So I can assume that he's trying to be reassuring, as if we didn't know anything, and that in fact he might fear exactly what we said. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean,
Dimitri,
I certainly wouldn't be surprised if debris did reach the surface.
We don't even know what the composition of a comet is. It's a huge fireball. At least that's what they thought in the 20s.
Well,
some
Doctor,
bits of star stuff land, do they not, Dr. Long?
Yes, they do from time to time, and in meteor showers they do. Most of the, I mean, it's the reason why you get all those streaks of light is small debris burning up in the atmosphere. But if it's large enough, it can survive the burning, and at least part of it can reach the ground. I mean, there have been numerous impacts throughout Earth's history of mostly small debris. Anything too large would have been noticed by observatories around the globe, but there could be small pieces from this recent meteor shower scattered about. Just have to go looking.
Yes, that's something for those of us who aren't stargazers to do while we're here. Mr.
Yeah.
Cuthbert, you were going to say?
oh, I was just going to ask Dimitri or Edith or Dr. Long, would this telescope here or this grand device, would it be able to be fitted with lenses that could get us a closer, a tighter image of it, or is this maxed out pretty much for this piece of equipment right now?
Well, it may be possible to get a more clear and closer look, but it would take some honing of the lenses.
That would be fascinating, since this seems to be such an anomaly.
Yes, that is something we are endeavoring to do. It takes great skill and practice to
Are
do
you
that.
sure that you say it's changed its trajectory?
And that's I'm not sure. I believe that there was a flaw in the lens, which was causing us to have improper data collected, because certainly comets don't turn.
Zeno, forgive my familiarity. Isn't there a phenomenon that in astrology that astronomy has rejected some sort of zigging and zagging in the celestial spheres?
They believed that the planeta means wanderer, because when you observe them from Earth, it does seem that they move forward and then they move backwards and then they move forward again. But other than that, I've never heard of anything changing trajectory in space, unless it's some sort of alien life form that's sailing the spheres.
Things can change direction if forces act upon them. I mean, that's physics.
That is true.
If this object, this comet or whatever it is, has encountered a sufficient enough of a force, the origins of that force, though, is difficult to determine what would exactly correct its course, but a strong enough. I'm trying to rack my brain about how much 1920s.
Could a smaller comet from another trajectory hit it from the far
side?
Collision, but the odds of a collision occurring in space.
It'd also be a sharp turn. Perhaps there is. Perhaps the comet itself is slowly turning, and thus it's changing its direction because of,
like a sail in the wind,
or like a jet. Well,
something that's so dense that it's warping the space-time, and it's
like a firework. Changing direction in the air. I wonder if 1920s we knew that it was void out there, if we thought air went up farther than it does.
Well, I mean, I wondered about etheric currents, but I think that was an abandoned theory scientifically, although I'm sure there are plenty of believers.
In any case, it's very strange, unusual nemesis.
Yeah, well, that's troubling in its own right.
Well, why don't we retire to the house and have some dinner.
That
Excellent
sounds good.
idea.
We brought a lot of extra food.
Fantastic.
Oh, and the fine bottle of whiskey and wine too,
Ah,
to celebrate this grand discovery.
well, we shall make the first toast to you, my good new friend. Come. Vasily is an excellent cook.
I wonder how his biscuits are.
How is his borscht?
So you guys return to the shack, and you guys can start making sleeping arrangements while Vasily is cooking over a small fire in the kitchenette. And Dmitri says, so as I was describing, it's a very simple, almost like a salt box kind of shack. There's a centralized front door. When you come in through that centralized front door, there's just a single great room, if you will, with the living room right there at the front door, and then the kitchenette at the back end of the house. And then flanking on the left and the right are 2 pairs of doors on left and 2 on the right. And all 4 of those doors lead to small enclosed rooms with no other exits, nothing else. 3 of them are being used as bedrooms. Dmitri is on the right. Vasily is on the left at the back. Edith's is on the left up at the front. And on the right up at the front, Dmitri was using that as a small office. So as you guys come in, he says, "Oh, let me clear out the office. I've got paperwork and things in there. Let me just clear all that out for you. And some of you could have your sleeping bags and lay out in there, or here in the living room, or wherever it is that you'd like to stretch out. But let me clear some of this out for you." And you can see he goes in there and it's starting to kind of scoop up and clean up stuff.
Is there a fireplace in the great room?
There is a potbelly stove.
Oh, okay.
That will generate quite a bit of heat to warm up the place, and also Vasily is cooking on the top of that.
Oh, excellent. There's plenty of wood or kindling. If not, I'll volunteer to go outside and gather stuff.
Okay, yeah, sure. You can go outside and maybe do some more wood cutting. There's a pile over there with an axe, in a log, and you can split a few more logs.
Certainly, I want to make a good impression. I'll go volunteer to spend a half an hour and get some extra wood ready for everyone.
Yeah, so Dmitri has been rather hurriedly trying to clear out his office, and he says, "Gentlemen, please make yourselves at home. Make yourselves comfortable."
I have a sleeping bag.
Thank you very much.
Lay out my sleeping bag.
Okay. Anybody who wants to kind of set up their sleeping arrangements in that room, who all is going to sleep in that room?
I'll sleep there.
I'm setting up in the stable.
Stable.
It'd be much
I'll be in
warmer
this.
inside.
I'll be in the stable as well with Baxter.
Stable. All right. So Zebedee and Baxter are in the stables. Zeno is in the study. Anybody else in the study?
I do snore.
I'll go in the study for fear
Study.
if Dr. Long goes in the study, one of them may not make it through the night.
Okay. Long, where are you going to set up?
I'll set up in kind of that main area, that bigger room.
Oh, just in the great room, like on a chair or something in the great room.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
that's fine.
I wonder about whether somebody might be comfortable in the observatory itself.
If that is an option, I would happily fall asleep staying up very, very late looking at all those photographs.
Sure.
Observatories are usually not heated.
Yeah, it'd be
But they're
cold in
not
there.
That's why I wear the sweater all the time.
They can't really let the lenses frost over, can
Yeah,
they?
but they have to open up the thing, so there's no point in
Yeah.
heating it. It just freezes every time.
Right. All right. Yeah, he does have that sweater. Yeah, just a thought.
So Cornelius and Zeno, as you guys are setting up your sleeping area in the study, would each of you please make a spot hidden?
Oh, certainly. Ooh, 18. That is at least a hard.
I got a 46, a regular.
Okay. So Dr. Saladin, as you were setting up, you're rolling out your cot, because there's still furniture in here, right? There's a bookcase and there's a small couch that was like pushed up against a wall to kind of clear some of the floor space. But as Dr. Saladin, as you're setting up your sleeping bag and stuff, you see some yellowed papers that are kind of they seem to have fallen and landed almost behind the bookcase that are kind of poking out a little bit. And as you pull them out, you can see that they are some notes, handwritten notes that are in German. You can tell from the language on it that it looks like it's in German. Cornelius, as you were setting up, you kind of got down on the floor as you were setting up your sleeping bag, and out of the corner of your eye, you see a small, thin book under the couch that was pushed against the wall.
Huh.
Take a look. It seems to be in Latin. Do you speak Latin?
Yes, I do.
The title of this book, the cover of the book is just a plain brown cover, hand stitched binding. But when you open up the cover on the inside in Latin, you see a title that says De Vermis Mysterious.
Fascinating. Oh, Zeno, this looks right up your alley.
And Zeno, do you know German?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I can pronounce the letters, but I don't.
Sure. So with these observations, and you guys are just kind of setting up your sleeping areas as you're going to get ready for dinner. Why don't we close this episode as we find those items, and we'll return to those next time. But before we completely close this episode, I wanted to circle back to the Book of Eibon, because it stands to reason that there was 2 days worth of reading available aboard the train on your way here. Did anyone take good advantage of that time to read?
I forget about the book. What language is it in?
It's an English translation.
Is it
not?
Okay.
We got it from Philip's brother. It's where the recipe for the sleep draft comes.
That's right.
It's a little. It's pretty deranging, and I think it was last in Myron's house with the drafts that we were also given by the giant whom we now think of as Cranon.
Well, Zebedee raised his hand. I also probably would be interested, so I probably spent some time with it.
Yes,
Yeah,
somebody
I-
definitely. Yeah,
I feel like we've had a book club where every night we like pass it around
Yeah.
and make notes.
We sit and read it to each other.
We've
Is
been
this really? Does this sentence make any sense? It seems like he said
study.
the tree that is the life of the future of our minds, egg turns over autumn. That's just gibberish, right?
Oh yeah, egg turns over autumn. Yeah.
I don't think that's egg. I think
Yeah.
that it's
Ages, perhaps.
omelets.
It's not
Omelets over autumn.
It's not-
Yeah.
Omelets.
Omelet.
over autumn.
that makes even less sense.
Well, omelets in autumn. Yeah.
It's a
That's
symbol of rebirth.
One question, I think, is whether or not Philip knew that his brother had this text, or whether Philip got the recipe he used from this text. Like, I don't know what I don't. Yeah, that's one thing.
By the way, we think you got your formula wrong.
Right. That's yeah. I mean, we had a day to talk on the way to Ulthar, and then most of a day on the way back to the forest, and then so
Right.
a lot of backstory that we've seen Philip would have asked for having a lot of memory lapses.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know whether I've read that or not, or even knew that my brother had it, and I really don't know whether to tell my brother whether it's me or not.
Yeah, that's part of the missing information. You don't know. So, as far as it goes with Book of Ibon, it is a quite dense material. So only one individual, if they're going to gain any information out of it, 2 days is not nearly enough time. You can see that you're going to need to spend a great deal more time reviewing and reading and taking copious notes. And if you're going to get any kind of benefit out of reading the Book of Ibon. So if Zebedee is currently taking on that task, we can assume that he is going to spend reasonable amounts of free time continuing on that task, but
He's already
it's
going
something
mad, so he might as well.
so why not? So it's only something that one person can do at a time, and it's going to take some time. So he's on the road to do that. So at this point, there have been no benefits or penalties incurred from reading. And I think with that, we can close today's episode.
Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, Stuart Lively, Holly Buteau, Josh Harwood, David Gasaway, and myself, with John Hook as the keeper of the secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members, you can set up a private game, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastery. There's a link below. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our game club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.